Welcome back to the channel, everyone. In this video, I'm going to take y'all through a full lower body day and how I structure my lower body days as a hybrid athlete to both support my running goals while also building up strength and supporting great movement patterns that are going to help keep me healthier for longer and support my longevity. And I also give my thoughts on priorities as a college student, something I've been thinking about a lot, so hope y'all enjoy. Getting into the lower body day, I really love starting off my lower body days with some hip adduction and hip abduction, especially on days I squat. I find these really help me open up my hips and really get a good stretch and a lot of blood flow into my hips to prevent any sort of pinching sensation that you might feel at the bottom of the squat, and also just help me really mobilize those hips so that I can sink deeper into my squat when the time comes. So after finishing up my hip adduction and abduction superset, I then go into squatting. I've been deloading my squats this past week as I prepare to enter a new training program and trained for a half marathon in the fall. I'm really just using some light weight here and focusing on keeping good position throughout my squat and preventing any sort of anterior pelvic tilt at the bottom, as that's caused me back pain in the past. So while these are definitely submaximal and a very light load compared to where my strength level is at, this is really important and it really helps me prepare well to go into my next phase of training. I also like to superset my squats with some seated jumps. This helps work on some explosivity while also working on my landing mechanics, really focusing on landing with my feet pointed straight forward. I then move on to my main compound of the day, which is a reverse lunge. I have been absolutely loving reverse lunges in this training block, particularly with the SBD bar or safety bar. This helps me get a very stable setup on my lunges and also helps me load them very heavy. And really, I feel like these have been great for not only developing my glutes, quads, and hamstrings, but also building up some stability in my ankles and lower body. I also superset these with calf raises. If I do not superset calf raises, I will skip them 100% of the time. I can't recommend enough to superset your calf raises, and especially do single leg variations as that makes that a lot easier. After that, I then move into my accessory lifts. Today, that is some hamstring curls, which I'll follow up with some step downs after this. I absolutely love a single leg hamstring variation. Not enough people do single leg hamstring work, and especially as an athlete, runner, or even for whatever sport you do, working on single leg strength and stability, especially through your posterior chain, is highly underrated and really exposes some asymmetries. Then I finish off this leg day with some step downs to work on some knee health, and that's the leg day. Alright, welcome back to the talking section of my videos. Today, I want to take this portion of the video to talk about priorities. Priorities are something I think about a lot, and especially with the return to college, pretty eminent for me. I go back in just about a week. College is a place where we all have lots of responsibilities, priorities, and opportunities. So I think that priorities, especially as a college student, are something that are extremely important. So for me personally, I want to talk about, I have 5 main priorities in my life that I try to stick to. These are some things I came up with my freshman year of college, second semester, just whenever I felt very lost in life and I was faced with a lot of opportunities, a lot of challenges, and I didn't quite know what was worth pursuing in my time and what wasn't. So my first priority or pillar of life that I try to live by is my health. So this is saying yes to things and doing things like going to the gym, working my strength, working on my endurance through running, swimming, cycling, whatever that is to you, and working on mobility, and also mental health, whether that's going to therapy or just working on breath work, meditation, stuff like that. My second priority is education, specifically making sure to learn outside of structured education. However, that is still important. I also think that is good to do things like read nonfiction or maybe watch content from people that are in positions you want to be, like on YouTube, look at videos of, people who are PTs or strength and conditioning coaches, if that's what you want to be, or teachers, if that's what you want to be, etc. My third one's relationships. So this includes both like intimate relationships and just platonic relationships, like with my friends. So this is prioritizing things like doing kind things for others, going out of my way to not only prioritize creating social connections, but also organizing those events like hosting cookouts, coordinating hikes with people, other stuff like that, because that provides me a lot of fulfillment and facilitates a lot of really, really great conversations that I love having. My fourth pillar is business. Specifically, this is more related to entrepreneurship and also personal finance. So, business to me means always pursuing something that I am very passionate about and I feel like I can help and serve others through, such as posting content, hopefully giving out a little bit of advice about health and training, and also just things that have helped me get through my life. And that also means being smart with my money. So, that's saving money and just making sure I'm making good investments and putting myself in a good position to build the financial future that I want to live in. Then my fifth and final pillar that I live by is spirituality. That is going to mean a whole lot of things to a whole lot of different people. For me personally, that means connecting to some sort of higher power. I'm Christian, so for me that's God, but it could be whatever it is to you, whether that's another sort of religion or even something deeper, more hippie. I'm from Asheville, so I'm familiar with a lot more ways that people go into spirituality, and all of them are functional. And I think as long as, for me, at least for me personally, you're connecting to something that is way bigger than yourself, can really help put stuff in perspective and really allow you to gain a greater appreciation for your purpose in life. So those are my 5 priorities. In essence, these are just 5 guidelines I use in my life, and I try to say no to things that do not revolve around advancing or prioritizing these pillars. So maybe that's one weekend, I'm asked to go drink with some friends, and while maybe that helps some of that relationship priority, it's going to hurt some of my health priorities. So it's also a push and pull of finding which one is more important at that time and in that season of life, and making more priorities for that. And I found this is a really good framework, especially for me in college, when I'm given these opportunities to join stuff and do stuff. All of them are so great and sound like great opportunities, but I'm able to go back to this framework and think, well, does it help me pursue at least one of these pillars? Or do I think this will help me pursue this pillar greater and it'll maybe help me with a different thing? So how do I actually implement those into life? It's basically just doing the basics. Really, whenever I have 5 priorities, that can be quite overwhelming. I'm normally only trying to really progress 1 to 3 at a time, depending on how hard I'm going at it. Then the other ones I kind of put towards maintenance. So in this next season of life, when I go back to college, I really want to focus on my health and my education and relationships, building up those in college. So I'm going to say yes to a lot more opportunities that involve that. However, I'm probably also not going to be able to go to church every Sunday or work as much of my content in my personal brand and business as I would hope to. And those will go more towards a maintenance phase where I still do something for that is attainable for that time period. So those are my thoughts on priorities. I really, really highly recommend, especially if you're in college, try to figure out what's important to you and what is most important to you for that time of your life in that season. These are important to me. They may not be important to you, but I find this is a amazing framework to weigh out your decisions through and to filter opportunities through that has helped relieve me of a lot of stress and provided me a lot more direction in my life. So I hope you all found that helpful. I hope that some of y'all go and find out what your priorities are. I once again appreciate absolutely everyone who watches these. It truly makes me so happy even to see one person has watched this little talk at the end and just listened to me yap for a little bit, because I know this isn't the most engaging content, but I feel like it's very important. As always, please follow me at CoopGrayFit on all my social medias. Reach out to the email I leave in the description if you have any questions about anything or want to go through any coaching plans for both hybrid athlete training, running, or lifting. I do all of that, and I love to do it. So appreciate all y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace and love.